I am terrified to even try to make a prediction on how Oklahoma is going to turn out in 2024. All right, I'm tired of beating around the bush. I'm just going to keep it a Fortnite V-Buck with you, whether you like it or not. Tennessee has something to prove to me. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, hope all of you having a great day. If not, hope this video can make it a little bit better. And we got a different video to get into today because we're going to talk about what in the world is going on with Oklahoma and Tennessee. As most of you know, if you're not living under a rock, the college football season is, as I'm speaking, 10 days away. We kick off on the 24th. Granted, that is week 0, but we do got a pretty good matchup with Florida State, the Cinnamon Roll. Shout out to the Cinnamon Roll fan base, and Georgia Tech. Reason I bring that up is because all throughout the season, we're going to talk about news, everything going on nonstop 24/7. You know this. With that being said, it has been not just a relatively, but I'd say easily, the quietest offseason in a very long time. Outside of the Cormani McClain drama at Florida, literally nothing has happened. There was nothing happening whatsoever, not to the slightest of bits, which is okay, but that also means we didn't talk about a lot of these teams. We very rarely talked about any SEC team. We might have talked about Alabama twice, and we most certainly haven't talked about Oklahoma since the regular season. Today, though, I have made the executive decision. We are going to talk about two of easily the most interesting teams and two teams I really enjoy keeping up with the most: Tennessee, the Volunteers, and Oklahoma, the Sooners. I really don't know where I want to start with this. You know what? We'll go at Tennessee, and then we'll get into Oklahoma. Tennessee is a fascinating case study for the main reason they've been irrelevant outside the past 2 years, 15 years in a row. Every single year, it was Tennessee fans saying, we're going to be back, and they got let down. However, we saw 2 years ago in 2022, they actually were back, and they made some noise. They had a really good year, and saying really good might be understating it. It was a great season. Last year, they had high hopes, but I figured riding off of that great year in 2022, it would be somewhat of a letdown, and it was. Finish year 9-4, that was fine. They beat Iowa in the bowl game, but when you take a look at their big games, not too close. They weren't even too competitive. And matter of fact, looking back at it, outside of Iowa, and I don't even know if you can count it too much because Iowa's offense is terrible, they didn't beat a ranked opponent. Got embarrassed by Florida. That score is deceiving and wasn't that close. They lost to Alabama 34-20. Alabama was running away with that one. Got blown out by Missouri and Georgia in back-to-back weeks. If you was keeping up with the channel last year, you would know I was saying this heading into the season of last year. Not this year, but last year. I thought Nico Imalava was better than Joe Milton. I'm extremely high on him. I thought he should have been starting, but it is what it is. Milton was your starter. Here we are, though, heading into 2024. Imalava's the guy, and to be quite honest with you, I don't know what to expect out of this team on offense or defense. We know the offense is going to be good, but the question is, how good? 2022 good or 2023 good? Although 2023 was quite abysmal at times, they had their bright moments. As far as it goes for a defense, not expecting much, but it's just like, all right, can you keep us in some games every now and then? That's what you're looking for. I'm taking a look at their schedule for the first time, and compared to everybody else in the SEC, it's one of the easiest ones. You do got NC State on the 7th. That might be a little tester, but as far as it goes for SEC play, you only got 3 ranked matchups: Oklahoma, Bama, and Georgia. I think Florida and Kentucky might give them some fits and troubles, but outside of that, they should be okay. I have a lot of questions about this Tennessee football team. 2023, it really put a sour taste in my mouth because it has me believing that 2022 season, the magical run they had, that's all it was. It was a magical run. It was a fluke. All right, I'm tired of beating around the bush. I'm just going to keep it a Fortnite V-Buck with you, whether you like it or not. Tennessee has something to prove to me. I'm not going to sit up here and act like Bobby Hill, a.k.a. Josh Heupel, is a solidified, perennial powerhouse head coach in the SEC, because he's not. He had one great year. I've given him a ton of kudos and credit for that. But in life, the one thing I've learned is anybody can get to the top. What separates your good people from your great people is the great, like Nick Saban in Alabama and Kirby Smart in Georgia, is they can stay at the top. I know Tennessee fans are going to say, well, Matt, last year we went 9-4. And yes, you did. But you didn't beat any ranked team in the regular season. You beat a bunch of cupcakes. You play the big teams and you wet the bed. Similar to Ohio State, but we're not here to talk about them. Let me know your thoughts on Tennessee down below. I'm curious. Moving along here to our other main topic of this video, the Oklahoma Sooners. This is easily one of my favorite teams to keep up with, and I really enjoy interacting with their fan base. Shout out to them. Despite me liking the Oklahoma fan base and liking the program, I still gotta call things for how I see it. Oklahoma last year, what was their record? Hold on. I know they lost 2 straight to Kansas and Oklahoma. Okay, they finished 10-3, lost to Arizona in the bowl game. Last year was good. The defense was much improved from 2022 because, oh my goodness. If you remember that OU defense 2 years ago, whew, one of the worst in the nation. It did get slightly better last year, but still, it wasn't too great. Gave up 30 to Texas, 29 to UCF, 38 to Kansas, 27 to Oklahoma State. Okay, that's good, 24. And then, last but not least, 45 to TCU. A 45 burger? TCU sucked. And 38 to Arizona. Obviously, you probably can assume what I'm about to say next. Defense, it's a big question mark. Another question mark I have is a quarterback position. Dillon Gabriel, he's gone. He's moved on to Oregon, and they got Jackson Arnold. I've heard a lot of great things about Jackson Arnold. I like what I see, but you know, it's a little bit different when you get out there and you're actually starting for a Power 5 team in the SEC. Some guys are made for the moment, some guys are not. And last year, what really bailed out Oklahoma all throughout the season was they had a great quarterback in Dillon Gabriel, so when they got into these shootouts, when the defense couldn't stop anybody, they could outscore them. Well, what if, I'm not saying this is going to happen, just saying a big what if, OU fans, your offense is struggling at times. That's a possibility. You got a new starter on your hands. If your offense is struggling, a little bit sluggish, can your defense put together a couple of stops? I don't know. I am genuinely asking. I don't have too many sources around that Oklahoma football program, and I'll just be upfront with all of you, very transparent here. I haven't heard anything about their defense or offense this entire offseason, and that could be good or bad depending on how you look at it. My granddad always told me growing up, sometimes no news is good news, so do as you please with that information. Goes back to how I started out this video. It's been a quiet offseason, and it's why I'm so interested in all these teams when the season begins, because we're going to find out we are going to, I said find out. Matt, get your words right, sorry. We are going to find out, there we go, sorry about that, a lot about all these teams within the first couple of weeks. Ironically enough, guess who OU plays in their 4th game? Tennessee. The other team we've already talked about in this video, so we're really going to find out a lot about both of those teams in that game. Up until that game, Oklahoma's got a nice, easy cupcake 3-game stretch. They got Temple, Houston, and Tulane. Okay, I did over-exaggerate that. Houston and Tulane are cupcakes, but they shouldn't have no problems with those teams. I think we're on the same boat. You got Oklahoma winning the first 3 games up until Tennessee, and then that's where things can get fascinating. Then after that, whoo! OU fans, if you're watching this video, let you know from firsthand experience, you're in for a rude awakening when you go to Jordan-Hare Stadium in Auburn, Alabama. I know what you're sitting there saying, well, Matt, Auburn isn't that good. They kind of suck low-key, and you may be right, but firsthand experience, you got to trust me when I say this, there's witchcraft in that stadium. Some of you may say, oh, yeah, Matt, that's a good one. Think I'm trying to crack a joke. No. I'm not trying to be funny. It's a fact. Things happen in Jordan-Hare Stadium that it just doesn't make any sense, and you can't explain it. That is going to be a banger of a football game. Can't wait for that. And then you got Texas. That's a tough little 3-game stretch. Tennessee, at Auburn, and Texas. And it doesn't get too much easier because, don't get me wrong, South Carolina is not a top-tier SEC football team, but they're not going to be bad. That's not going to be an easy one. And then you got to go to Ole Miss and play the Lane Train. This is what I was talking about, how Tennessee's schedule is one of the easiest ones in the SEC. You got an official cupcake against Maine after the Ole Miss game, and then you play number 11 Missouri, number 5 Alabama, number 13 LSU. Oklahoma, as where it stands when I'm making this video, they play 6 teams, not just in the top 25, but in the top 15. You know what I got to say about that? Welcome to the SEC, partner. If I was an Oklahoma fan, I'd love this. I'd want to play the best of the best. It forces you to bring your A game, because if not, you're going to get exposed. Like I was saying, though, you play 6 teams in top 15. Those are going to be hard games alone. You don't need me to sit up here and hype those up. But I am telling you, Auburn and South Kakalaki aren't going to be cakewalks. I am terrified to even try to make a prediction on how Oklahoma is going to turn out in 2024. There is a legit case and scenario where they could go 5-7, 6-6. And it's not because I think Oklahoma's a bad football team. It's more so of how much I respect all their opponents. Point is, what I'm trying to say is if one of you writes in the comments, Matt, I think Oklahoma's going 5-7, I wouldn't think that's crazy to say. I could see it happening. On the flip side, if one of you were to say, well, Matt, I think Oklahoma's going to be really good on offense and defense, I got them going 11-1, I could also see that. With Oklahoma similar to Tennessee, it's why I'm talking about them both in this video. So many uncertainties. Going back to Tennessee, the one thing that would give me comfort as a Volunteer fan is this cakewalk of a schedule. Outside of Georgia, Alabama, Oklahoma, and you could throw Kentucky and Florida in there, you should win all these games easily. You're going to have some nerd in the comment section say, well, Matt, what about NC State? They're ranked 24th. That's a top 25 team. Shut up, nerd. They're part of the ACC. The ACC sucks. You put NC State in the SEC, I'm not sure if they win 4 games. So, no, that's not a tough game to win. Who's a better football team, Florida or NC State? Florida. Who's a better football team, NC State or Kentucky? Kentucky. I don't hype up the SEC because I have bias towards them. I hype them up and talk highly of them because I'm giving credit where it's due. They're the best. Anyways, getting back on track, we haven't talked about these 2 teams in the offseason at all. The season's 2 weeks away, so I figured, hey, why not? We got to talk about them at least once before the season gets going. I'm not going to give you a record prediction because I don't do that, and also I just wanted to talk about what I think about these team schedules because I haven't looked at them up until this video and how I think they're going to fare out. There's many more things I could say. We'll end it off here. Let me know your thoughts down below, but